Terry Flewers from the Football Terrace. Massive news for United today. Some pleasant news, some exciting news on the eve of the big European final with Tottenham Hotspur. Leny Yoro, Dalot, and Joshua Zirkzee return to the squad, and they are described as fully fit. We're talking about that. We're also going to take a little bit of a deep dive into tomorrow, and I'm going to give you my starting 11. I want to know who you think should be. I'm going to go with who I want to start rather than what I think Amorim is going to do. Plus, we're going to take a look at some of the big transfer stories today. The Dalot deal advancing, Cunha practically there as well. And I want to touch on Bruno Fernandes's comments about our system and style and why the summer, I think, is going to be so important. But I hope you're all well. Hope you're all doing good and a little nervous and maybe a little bit excited about the final tomorrow. Would love to know where you're watching it and who with. Where are you watching it and who with? An important thing. Who you're sharing that final experience with, where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing. Some of you might have to work and you got to watch it on your phones. Some might be with family. Some of you may already be in Bilbao. I know a lot of people are being in Bilbao with this show on their phone right now, catching some sun and getting ready for tomorrow. Loads to talk about on the show today. How you doing, Z? Hope you're good. Hello, Rob. Hope you're very good. Dan's with us here. Big up yourself, Dan. Hello, Ron, who's watching from Washington, D.C. Big up yourself, Dan. Love Washington. Terry Ridge. Sounds a bit strange. Sounds a little bit strange. Kumaran, sorry. Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for the compliment. Hello, Vicky. Hope you're well this afternoon. Greg and Babu. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing good. It's up to you. MUFC as well. This is from Daniel. He says, hi, Terry and everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I will be at home probably with my mum and stepdad. That's where I was in 99. In 99, well, I wasn't with my stepdad, I was with my dad and my brothers. And I remember watching it. I've got loads of brothers that are Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans. My dad's Tottenham, as a lot of you know. And when those 2 late goals went in, I just remember watching my brothers storm off the bed. And my dad let me stay up a bit later and watch the celebrations. It was amazing. It really, really was. I loved it. So nothing like, do you know what? I've been to many big games. I've been to finals, been to Wembley. I've been to so many of those occasions. But watching football with my dad and my brothers still, for me, has been the best experience of football that I've ever had. I used to absolutely love it. Look, let's get into the big news. I want to start with the big news. I want to start with, and maybe it was a little bit of a shock. I always felt Leny Yoro would return. And not only do I think I'm happy he's returned, he should be in that starting 11 tomorrow. We're a better side without him. His ability to take the ball into the midfield, the recovery pace. We need as much pace and power in this team as possible. And Leny Yoro has that. Not to mention, look, he had one dicey 45 minutes against Southampton. But by and large, I've been very, very impressed with this young man. And he's grown and he deserves a starting place in the final. And I'm really glad he's back. I'm also very happy that Dalot is back. And for me, I was thinking about Dalot. I'm just sitting there thinking before I speak. And how do I say this in the right way? I know some people will question whether he's fit or not. He's only been out for a few weeks. He's only been out for a handful of games. He doesn't look like he's put on any weight. He looks fit. He looks ready to go. I would be starting Dalot as well. Because when Maz plays at right wing back, we lack an attacking threat. When we play Ahmad there, I think we lack his presence in the middle, and he's not as good defensively. For me, Dalot has got to start. Yoro has got to start. Them returning is massive. When it comes to Joshua Zirkzee, now, what I loved about a few weeks, I loved about this news is there was a story about a week and a half ago. And I don't know where it was from now. I just saw it on socials. And it essentially said, it was a quote from Leny Yoro saying he's hoping and pushing hard to be back for the final. And I didn't know whether to take it seriously. I didn't know whether to believe it. But now it turns out he was really serious and he's back and he's described by the club as fully fit. Now, for me, fully fit means you can start. It's a one-off game. That there is a final Premier League game, but it doesn't matter. How do you see it? Zirkzee for 50, 60 minutes and then probably fitness runs out? Or Zirkzee from the bench, 50, 60 minutes into the game to give fresh legs and a new dynamic to the team? How do you see it? Because that's the conundrum for me. Do we play that card from the start of the game now that he is back? Or do we leave him as a kind of cavalry option from the bench? I'd love to ascertain your opinion. And comment here from Sareth, if you could put that up on the screen, if anyone's able to do that for us, says Zirkzee from the bench. And I kind of happen to agree with that. I happen to agree with that right now. Just my gut. My gut. I understand Højlund has not been great. I understand all the issues people have with Rasmus, and I'm not even arguing against any of them. I just kind of like the idea of him coming on from the bench. I feel very much the same about Garnacho. I want him to start on the bench. I feel Garnacho against tiring legs in the last 30 minutes and in extra time could be very, very potent for us. And it's the one thing about these subs coming back that stands out for me above everything else. And I was looking at the potential available squad for Tottenham, and I was looking at their bench in their last Europa League game, because forget the teams and the squad for their previous league games. They've really rotated heavily. With Maddison out, Kulusevski out, Man United suddenly have a stronger bench. Starting 11s, I think if we all sat there and did a combined 11, some of you might have sort of 7-4 in Tottenham's favour. Some of you might have 6-5 in Man United's favour. A lot of it is going to be close, right? It's going to be a big mixture. I think people look at our teams as fit. Well, we're so close in the league. Results have been so similar. They score more goals than we do, so their attack is better. But defensively, typically, we've been better for large parts of the season. But I just feel with these three players coming back, Luke Shaw having stayed fit, Ahmad returning recently as an example, I just feel our bench is a little stronger. Now, a comment here from Slowed Harmonics says that Maddison will be back tomorrow. And this is the thing. He could be. And I think that, listen, Spurs, I want to pay, I'm paying respect here to Tottenham. If Tottenham win tomorrow, it's their greatest achievement in the last 40 years. It becomes their greatest season, becomes their greatest moment. These Spurs players are 90 minutes away. They're a win away from becoming GOATs at their football club. Legends forever. GOATs of their club. This is Tottenham's biggest moment potentially in 4 decades and one of their greatest achievements in the history of their football club. I would not be surprised if they're taking injections, if they're taking painkillers, if they're strapping the living daylights out of injuries to be back. Maddison could return, there's no doubt. But I can only go with the information that we currently have in front of us. And as far as I'm aware, if you guys have got new information, send it in. That's the one thing that's given me a little bit of confidence tomorrow. Only a little bit, because I'm not writing Tottenham off. A couple of weeks ago, I was like, I'm really confident we can beat them. The closer it's got to the game, I don't have that confidence. I wish I did. Fair play to each and every single person out there that has that chest, that has that belief. I believe we can win. I'm predicting us to win, but I'm not writing Tottenham off in any capacity whatsoever. But suddenly I feel like our bench is stronger. And that in a cup final is key. We get to 60, 65 minutes in this game, and we can bring on 3 or 4 players who technically could be like Zirkzee would be a technical improvement to Rasmus Højlund. We can bring on some more physicality and speed. If, for instance, Dalot has to start on the bench, we can suddenly bring him on in a fullback role. Shaw, for me, Luke Shaw could be a very potent player in the last 20 minutes of this game coming on in the left wing-back role. I don't think he can play 90 to 120 minutes at left wing-back. I don't think his body has it in him. But he could give us 20. He could give us 30, 40 minutes. And that's something that I think United have potentially got in their favour. Spurs still have that advantage. They have a better front line than we do. Statistically, that's proven. Factually, that's proven. It's quicker, it's stronger, and it scores more goals. That exists. There's no doubt about it. But Ronnie here says there won't be any extra time. You melt. Spurs are winning easy. Listen, Ronnie, you might. You may walk away from this. You may win easy. This may not be a difficult game for Tottenham. You are 3 wins on the bounce against us. I understand why Tottenham fans are confident. Jacob here with a super chat. He says, I cannot hide the fear that we might lose. Scary. Yeah, I'm scared of losing. And I want our players to be scared to lose. I want our players to be scared to lose. Now, I come from a fighting background. And when I lived in Manchester, I was there because I trained at one of the best martial arts centers in the world. I was part of Team GB. And I was scared of losing. I wasn't scared of taking a beating. I wasn't scared of getting hurt. I was scared of losing. But that kept me motivated. That kept me sharp. There should always be an element of anxiety. It should exist. It has to exist. But I want it to be there for the players. I don't want any of this nonsense of it's Tottenham. I don't want to hear that. That would have been true 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I wouldn't have a fear in the world playing that Tottenham team and this Man United team playing. We're winning. But we're not that team anymore. So I want us to go into this game with some nerves, with some anxiety, with some fear. But I want it to be weaponized. I want it to be honed in. And I want us to go out there and fight for every blade of grass, every inch, every moment. Win second balls. The team that wins the majority of the second balls in this game is going to have a massive chance of winning because there's going to be a lot of them. Big up Beth, who's tuning in. Hope you are well. Lovely to meet you last week, by the way. Who says, start Yoro, 110%. 110% need this young man on the pitch. And someone actually, we spoke about, we did a preview for on the football terrace for this, and we were all talking about Victor Lindelof and saying, listen, I would rather Shaw or Heaven, anybody start over him. Too slow, touch ain't good enough, not powerful enough. Leny Yoro, we need him. We need that recovery speed. We need him bringing that ball into play from a centre-back position. He's got to start. And I know he picked up that knock only a week or so ago. He would have been running, I don't know what they're called. You know, those running machines where they take your weight away. He'd been working hard on them. He'd have been hitting the weights. And as soon as he got the all clear of his foot, he would have been running around again. He has barely lost any fitness. He's played a fair amount of football recently. He's going to have no problem slipping straight back into the team. I actually feel the same with Dalot as well. I don't think Dalot is going to have any real problems at all starting and even finishing this game. He can play, just give him some electrolytes, give him a bit of sugar, give him, I don't know, those energy sachet things, get him through the match. We only need him to play this game, and then he can sit out the final match of the season. But I think Dalot and Yoro, for me personally, have got to start this game. This here from Trey Warren says, every time this team shows up in the biggest games, I am not scared at all. That is a really good omen for Manchester United. It really is. And there are some negative ones, but there's some positive ones. For instance, City beat us 3 times on the bounce before our FA Cup final last year. So there are some positives. There's some real positives in there. Spurs have got the birds in their favour. It's all the clubs with birds in their crests have won the trophies so far this season. For the English sides. But as you say, we Trey have done well. The only thing I hope is that United Trey don't turn up. And I know, Beth, you're out there and everyone's out there and no one wants to get in trouble, but I will pay good money for Trey to be kidnapped before the game. I don't want him hurt, but I will pay good money to have Trey kidnapped, kept in a garage somewhere until the game ends. If Trey steps foot in that stadium, we're doomed. I'm a bit of a superstitious man, and that boy, he's a jinx. He's a legitimate jinx. But yes, listen, that's my hope as well. I hope we turn up for this big game. And that's where I would be disappointed in Man United. I never want to lose. And I'd be disappointed if we lose. But where I would be angry more than disappointed is if we don't turn up. We don't create enough chances, don't show enough fight, show no composure, don't demonstrate our recent history, this squad as a collective, being in finals, having big moments. Quite a few of these guys lost in 2021. Was it 2021 or 2022? Either which way. Lost that year. These guys have been to League Cup finals together, FA Cup finals together. They need to, again, that needs to be weaponized on the day. And that would really make me angry if we were just blown away and we're not in this game whatsoever. But for a lot of big games this season, we have turned up when most people expected us not to. So yeah, I'm hopeful. Make Trey wear a Spurs shirt. Might jinx them instead. I hear you there. Yeah, Daniel, can you imagine? It's just, he's probably a nice guy. I don't know him personally. Anyway. Raymond here says, in United we trust. Come on, you Gooners. Yeah, do you know what I love about this final? And I do stand on this. When the television viewing figures come out for in the UK, I guarantee this final gets more views and more watches than the Champions League final does. It's just got everyone. You've got real Arsenal fans, real Chelsea fans. They want Man United to win. Real West Ham fans want Man United to win. Real fans of any London club will want Man United to win. Then you've got City, you've got Everton, you've got Liverpool, of course, on Tottenham's side, or maybe everybody else on Tottenham's side. But yeah, there's a really nice split, a really nice kind of dichotomy in terms of who everybody wants to win. Yeah, it's great. I love it. I absolutely love it. I really do. At least the same viewing numbers. Everyone has a reason to watch. Yeah, it might. Yeah, at least the same. If not more, I really do. Like, you know, with the Champions League final, and I noticed this. I've been to a few pubs before to watch the final when no English teams are in it, and they're busy. But it's different when English sides are in it. I think there'll be people going, oh, I'm going to watch Britain's Got Talent, or I'm going to watch the Eurovision, or I'm going to put Casualty on, or whatever it is. I think some people, and do you know what? I think a lot of it is as well, though, right? And maybe it's because I'm older and been married and family life, is there's a lot of men, go through this, right? You have to pick and choose what games you're allowed to have on because you can't have them all on. And a lot of, when there's a Champions League final, you can often go to the Champions League final, please. But actually, are you going to be able to watch both finals? Are you going to be allowed to watch both finals? You might have to pick one. And the one with the English sides in would normally get picked here in England. So yeah, it's going to be great either way. What's your choice of alcohol tomorrow night? Well, look, I'm actually, after tomorrow night, I'm going dry for a little while. I've lost a bit of weight this year, but I want to really hit it harder. I don't know. It depends. Probably a little voddy. If we win, something sparkly. If we lose, probably nothing. I don't really drink when I'm in a bad mood. So if I'm out or at home and we win, I'll have a drink. If we lose, I tend not to. I'm kind of like that in life. I only really drink when I'm happy. If I'm not in a good mood, something bad's happened, I just don't. Drinking at that point isn't for me. It's something I just don't do. Don't feel like doing. I eat more. I'll eat a lot of chocolate and a lot of Pringles if that happens. The diet can take a break. But yeah, that'll be me. Good to see you as well, James. Hope you're well. Kumaran here says the Lyon comeback deserves a trophy. I wouldn't necessarily say it deserves a trophy. I'm a United fan. I'm being objective here. The reason, I'm going to rephrase it. I'm going to agree with you. I think the reason why it deserves a trophy is because from a historical perspective, even if you remove yourself as a Man United fan, unless you're a rival, the way we came back against Lyon in a run to win a major European trophy, it holds such weight. It's like it becomes iconic, where if we don't win it, the comeback kind of fades away. Really does fade away. So I'm still not sure if the right word for it is deserved. But if I just remove myself as a Man United fan from a legacy perspective, to go on to win it from that point is just phenomenal. Watching the kind of anthology, the chronological order of the games play out. And that's there in the quarterfinals. Unless you're somebody that despises Man United, I think it will give you goosebumps. I think it will give people goosebumps. You see it with Liverpool. I didn't want Liverpool to win the Champions League in 2005. But the way they did it, that Olympiacos game as an example, the way the final played out, and there was other moments that were similar in that run. To anyone who doesn't despise Liverpool, it's kind of special to watch. Man United in 99, it wasn't just the final. It was those group games, those 3-3s against Barcelona, the semi-final against Juve, 2 early goals in the second leg, Roy Keane and Scholes getting booked, and then we scored 3 goals. Again, for people that don't dislike Man United, and that's millions and millions of football fans, there's something iconic about it. So Liverpool did it. They didn't go, but they didn't go over the line. Liverpool's comeback against Dortmund back in sort of 2016, I think it was 2016. People forget about it because they didn't go on to win it. Had they beaten Sevilla in that final, that run, those comebacks would have been far more memorable. So I hear where you're coming from, and I do hope that's the case. Do us a favor, people, by the way, and get the like button smashed if you haven't done so already. Good 3.5, nearly 4,000 people tuning in, but get the like button hit right now. But yes, look, I'd love to get your starting 11s. I'd love to get your starting 11s ahead of tomorrow. I'm going to give you mine now. I've been building mine on lineup builder today. Like, I'm going to go Onana in goal. And I know a lot of people, he's not great, but I think he's the best that we have. So Onana's going in goal. My right side is centre-back. I am really tempted to give it to Yoro and play Heaven on the left-hand side. But I'm not going to do it, and I'll tell you as to why. I'm going to play Maz. Maz has been so consistent, so good this year. I'm going to start the game with Maz in that position. Central defender of the three, we know it's going to be Harry Maguire. I am tempted, by the way, and I heard what you said, Beth, the other day. I am tempted to start him as a striker. I am really tempted to start him as a striker. But I'm going to go with him and then Yoro. So remember, this isn't what I think Amorim will do. This is what I would do. Okay, so when you're giving your 11s in this video, you've got to pick it based on what you would do. Now, for me, I'm starting Dalot. Now that we know he is back, I'm starting Dalot as the fullback on the right-hand side. Equally, again, I'm tempted to put Shaw in. The same as I'm tempted to start Shaw as a centre-back on the left and have Yoro on the right. But I actually want to leave Shaw on the bench because I think what he can be in the last 20 to 25 minutes of this game from the bench on that left-hand side is potent. I think he could run his legs off because he quite literally will in that last period and just give us an extra string to our bow. Now, I'm pretty sure we're going to go with Casemiro and Ugarte in the middle. But again, I wouldn't do that for this game. I would change it up a little bit. I would get Spurs guessing slightly. And I would personally go with Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro to start the game. I want a little bit more control on the ball. I want a player that is more pressure resistant than Ugarte. That's what I would personally go for in that regard. The 2 10s then, look, a lot of people talk about Mount starting. I'm not doing that. I'm starting the game with Ahmad on the right-hand side. I think that's fair. Of course, Captain Bruno is going to be in one of the 10 positions. And I am going to start Rasmus Højlund. I'm going to start him. I don't know why. I'm just going to start him. Just starting him. Do you know what it is? I know we're all kind of joking. I'll play Maguire up there, play a false 9. I'm not experimenting in a final. I'm not experimenting in a final. And Ibuka here says Zirkzee has to start. For me, he's been out too long with a hamstring injury to start. He comes on, 10 minutes of running around. The hamstring goes. It's a sub wasted too early. For me, I think he's again a player. 60 minutes on the clock, 65 minutes on the clock. I bring the man on. I bring the man on at that point and say go play your heart out. Depending on how well Rasmus is doing. Let's say Mainoo's struggling and he's out of the game. Let's say Cass has got a knock. I might say, right, you're coming on Zirkzee to play 10 and we're going to move Bruno Fernandes backwards, but it gives us options. But I like the idea of your Mason Mounts, your Zirkzees, your Luke Shaws coming on from the bench. Garnacho's coming on from the bench. Garnacho, another player I don't want to see start. No, because I don't think he's good enough. Not because of anything other than against tired legs, I see a different level of player. Against tired fullbacks, against a tired defense that plays a high line, a fresh and fit Shaw. You got Shaw, Garnacho, and Zirkzee from the bench could be potent as you like. And for me, your starting 11 is key, but what you have from the bench, what kind of game changes you have from the bench is really, really important. So I'd be leaving those 4 on the bench for different reasons, and that would be my 11. Onana, Maz, Maguire, Yoro, Dalot, Casemiro, Mainoo, Diogo, Ahmad, Bruno, and Rasmus. And actually, there's very few players we could add to that actually make us physically stronger, because that's also something we have to consider. We're up against a much more physically stronger, taller, and more powerful team than us. So we've got to try to match that early. It's another reason why I would start Diogo in the game. I know there is some suspect elements to him as he's settling in the UK, but what he does have, I actually don't mind him defensively. I like the way he gets up and down the pitch. I actually want to see him drive a little bit more at fullbacks, and there's going to be room. There's going to be room with how high up Pedro Porro pushes for him to exploit. I just want the manager to grab hold of him, or Bruno to grab him on the pitch and just say, stop hesitating and double, sort of second guessing yourself. There's space to run into it. We'll make the runs into the box. I want to see a little bit more of that. Cruiser here says Mount to start. Mount may start this game. Mount may start this game, not denying it. I'm just stating that I wouldn't personally do that. That wouldn't be my go-to option personally. Raymond here says Zirkzee on in the 65th minutes can be a game changer for United. Completely agree. Dow here. We can put Dow's comment up, one of our members. Let's put a comment in here that says Onana, Maz, Maguire, Yoro, Casemiro, Ugarte, Dalot, Diogo, Bruno, Garnacho, Højlund. I mean, that literally could be the starting 11. That could be the starting 11. Would you support Ahmad being on the... I mean, again, I don't want Ahmad on the bench. I want him to start. But it has the same logics there as Garnacho, even though I think he could have a better impact from the start. Imagine him coming on for the last 20, 25, 30 minutes against tired legs. Because again, my view is I think it's going to be a close game, scoreline-wise. I think we're going into the last 10 minutes of this match with it being 1-1 or 2-2. I think it's going to be a scoreline along that level. I have this gut feeling that a substitute or two for either team will be what wins this game. The substitutions being right is going to be so important. So the fact we've got these three players back is key. I actually like the idea of leaving a couple of dangerous players on the bench as cavalry later in the match. I think it really could yield us some dividends. I really, really do. I really do. Garnacho over Ahmad. I wouldn't do it. Ibuka, I wouldn't personally do it. I'm saying, but I wouldn't be surprised. Would you be sitting there like shocked, like I can't believe the manager did this? I don't think he will, but I wouldn't be overly shocked. Paul and Tally says Ahmad on the bench, super sub to win it. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Ben Jones here, Ben Jones PT, says Onana, Maz, Maguire, Yoro, Dalot, Ugarte, Cass, Diogo, Ahmad, Garnacho, Fernandez as the false nine. The only reason why I don't like Fernandez as a false nine is his hold-up play is not particularly great. So if he was better at holding the ball up and could bring Fred, but what he is good at doing if he was in that role is if he can pick the ball up and find space, he'll be very good at threading the ball into the Garnachos and the Ahmads of this world. I just don't know how he'll cope with that physical battle with Romero and Van der Ven, both strong, both big, both quick. I'm not too sure how that's going to work. That's why I think Rasmus, although he isn't great on the ball, and I know he isn't the best finisher in the world, if we could, what he can do physically in terms of the battling, running into the channels, can just help separate those centre-backs a little bit for Bruno Fernandez's, for Ahmad's to maybe get a little bit more space in the game. I would almost say use Rasmus like a decoy all game. That you're going to run here. The play's going to go this way, but you're going to run in the opposite direction. You might be on the end of a through ball at the end of it or a cutback, but you're going to make these almost like these decoy runs to create space for others. That is how I would run him into the ground doing that in the match. Hopefully he comes up trump and score. Listen, I'll tell you what would be great. I was thinking about this the other day, and I want to get your views on this. If Man United win, and let's manifest it, if and when we win, who do you want the hero to be? Who would you love to be the player that bangs in that winning goal or has that man of the match performance? And I bring that up because I'm speaking Højlund. I want it to be Bruno Fernandes. I want Bruno Fernandes, 85th minute after a brilliant game, to bag the winner as captain. 3 trophies he's captained us to. It would end any conversation about never delivering in big games. It would put him onto a different... I don't know if I would put him into legendary category because of who our legends are, but it puts him into hero of the club. And it's hard to become a hero. It's hard to become a legend at a club like Man United. But having said all that, Can you imagine if United win 2-0 and Rasmus Højlund gets a brace? It would just, there is something rustically beautiful and poetic about it. It shouldn't happen, but it would be great. And I'm sure Tottenham fans feel a bit like that. A player that maybe that's, out of favour, the fans want to see move on, just having that game. I see a lot of you saying that Højlund or Mount. I mean, Mason Mount would be another great example, but he's already kind of had that with the semi-final second leg, but I hear you. Maguire. Yeah. Listen, Maguire, if you balanced it all up, is probably, if he comes up again for, a late corner and bangs that header in, what a way that would be for him to kind of fully make up for that 18 months, 2 years where he was really bad. I'm not going to deny he was really poor. To have a European campaign where he scores some of the most important goals in our recent history would be excellent. And look, we can be biased on this. That's what I like about being on the United stand. I can be a bit biased and just talk about my club. I don't change my logic. I don't change how I think and feel, but I can be a little bit more biased and just speak about my football team more. But yeah, Højlund doing it, Maguire doing it would be great. I'll tell you what would be amazing though. Ugarte to shut the Y-Scout merchants up. Yeah, Ugarte doing it would be good. But on a legacy level, Manu, man of the match in his first ever cup final in the FA Cup, got the winning goal. Would be beautiful if he could do something similar. Whether he starts, whether he comes on from more of a cameo appearance. If he comes on and dictates, scores that winning goal, puts in a brilliant performance. Imagine having that on your CV in your first 2 years as a pro player. Sort of man of the match and match-winning goals in back-to-back, like major finals, would be, again, very fledgling part of his career. But I'd love that for him as well. And that's the one thing. If Man United are to win it, not everybody can be the hero on the day. Not everybody can be Ollie, if that makes sense. Not everybody can. Jesse Lingard had that moment in the FA Cup as an example. Manu had it last year. You can't always have it, but then some players never have it. Think about Arsenal and Thierry Henry. All the great things he did for their club. He never had that final moment. So, yeah, it's... and you got, someone like Steven Gerrard. If it hadn't been for one FA Cup and one Champions League final performance and the goals he scored, he'd be remembered as a brilliant player. But I wonder how much further down the pecking order of legends he would be in the general football fans' eyes if he hadn't had that second half performance in Istanbul, if he didn't do what he did to West Ham in that FA Cup final. How different would his legacy be? I wonder. Solomon here says, Uncle Casemiro will score 2 goals, headed and outside the box. Oh, can you imagine if Cas did it? Yeah, I love that. Now, Gerrard's legendary status is immune for that 60-second red card. Yeah, I love that game. That when he came on, I was a little nervous because the best performance I've ever really seen Man United have at Anfield. And when he came on, I got a little nervous because we know how good he was. Then to see him sent off 60 seconds later, mate, that was so beautiful. So beautiful, man. It's 0-0 in the 90 minute. We get a corner and up comes Onana to smash in a bicycle kick. He better not be doing that at 0-0, but I hear you. Let's have a look at some more of these comments here. What if he didn't slip? Yeah, I hear you. If I'm starting Højlund up front, Garnacho has to come from the bench. Onana, Maz, Maguire, Yoro, Dalot, Ugarte, Cas, Diogo, Ahmad, Højlund, Fernandes. Yeah, that's the lineup I've gone for. And I do agree. I agree with you. I think Rasmus may do better if he's got 2 technically proficient players behind him. More creativity coming from those wings, putting those balls across that 6-yard box could really help him. And he needs the help. He ain't going to create anything for himself. If he's going to score, it's got to be put on a plate. But if we have players that just want to keep cutting inside and shooting all the time, maybe that won't be created. There is a poll running right now saying, should Yoro, Dalot, or Zirkzee start? What I'm going with 1 or 2, comment who. That's what 48% of you have gone with. 43% of you tuning in. That's over 5,000 votes on this. I've said get them all in the starting 11. It's a little risky. It's a little risky for me. Jordan here says, I'd put Garnacho on the bench. He's a good impact player off the bench. Zirkzee off the bench at the 72-minute mark. Why 72 minutes? Why the specificity? I'd love to know. I'd love to know why this is that. Are you superstitious about that minute or something like that? I'm superstitious about 11 minutes past 11 in the morning. I see that time all the time and have done for years. Very weird to me. This here from Amer, who says Onana, Yoro, Maguire, Shaw. So a slightly different flavor here. Dalot, Fernandez, Cass, Diogo, Ahmad, Mount, Højlund for 60 minutes. I hear you. I like some of that. I can see why that would work or could work. Why am I so gorgeous? Good genes, I suppose. I'm all right for 39. I'm all right. Still got to lose a bit of weight. Lost a couple of stone this year, but I've got to keep losing more. But I'm all right, mate. Thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. This here from Kevin, he put a super chat in. He says, thoughts, we had a horrible Premier League season. I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Amorim. I think he will make an excellent decision with the lineup tomorrow. Look, we've had a poor season, there's no doubt. A lot of the squad's got to go. The culture's still got to be changed. It's going to take years to do that. But I'm not thinking about the future today. Well, in relation to this game, I'm not thinking about the future. If we win it, I'm going to celebrate. It's an extra piece of legacy. It's not going to directly make us a better team next season. The same as if we lose it, it's not going to make us a better or worse team next season directly. There's the money off the back of it that can be invested. That is true. But yeah, I'm really I feel. Look, I don't know if we're going to win. I'm hoping we win. I think we'll play a good game tomorrow. I think the players will give their all. I think Amorim will get them into the right frame of mind. The problem is that this collective, not every individual, but this collective doesn't always want to play, doesn't always want to turn up and run through a brick wall. That's something that can only be fixed in the transfer market. The manager ain't got time to individually change the mindset of all these players, and why should he have? Ronnie here says, whatever happens tomorrow, Ruben will be staying, and rightfully so. For years, I spoke about this, and I don't want to dwell on it too much, but we need to protect the position of manager or head coach, not necessarily the individual that sits within it. Two things are wrong with this squad. Two of the biggest things wrong with this squad. One, we don't have enough physicality. And Bruno Fernandes, in his interview on TNT Sport, spoke about how Ruben was kind of shocked by the physicality in the Premier League. Some people, again, have taken that too far, too literal. Doesn't have a plan B. The manager's drowning. Well, he does have plan Bs. That's why we put Maguire up front in the Lyon game and started knocking balls into the box. It's quite literally the definition of a plan B. The manager knows it's more physical here now, but maybe was a little bit shocked when he actually saw it on ground level when it was his tactics up against another side. But there's nothing that his tactics are going to be able to do to fix it, whether he changes them or not. We need to buy physically stronger, physically faster players, irrespective of who the head coach is. That's going to have to happen. On top of that, I don't know who the players are, but as a collective, there are loads of games where we don't want to work hard. There's loads of games where we won't run for a brick wall. And we've seen countless examples this season. The way we turned up away against City, away against Liverpool, versus how we played in a lot of our home games. It wasn't the same team. The intensity wasn't there. For me, that is almost a conscious choice. It's just too hard to work at 100% twice a week, every week, for 40, 45 weeks of the year. That's got to change. You change that by replacing those individuals. Once you've built that technically good squad, that physically capable squad, and you create the right type of culture, then you can fully assess how good or bad a head coach is. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. Every single time we've been thinking about sacking a manager, whether or not I felt at that particular juncture it was the right decision or not to move that coach on, have they fallen out with the board? Have they fallen out with the players? Like with Ten Hag, he wasn't trying to implement his style of football that he was famed for, and he was already 2.5 years into the job. I felt we had to start again. I've always stated the same thing, and it's always been ignored for what I call the low-hanging fruit. Bring me a better coach. This squad can win. Buy me a couple of extra ballers with a new coach. Watch this team fly. I've never felt the solution was as simplistic, as easy and as straightforward as that. There never has been. And it's actually got more complex every 12 to 18 months as the squad has progressively got worse. The debt has got worse. The culture's got bad and has worsened. And We have to protect the manager, not Ruben, just the position. We can't have players deciding when and how they want to turn up and play. Because if we got rid of Ruben this summer and brought somebody else in the squad, it doubles down the message. We got away with it again. We got away with it again. The message needs to be pumped into that dressing room that no matter who the manager is, no matter how he makes you feel, unless he's making you scrub the toilets with your toothbrush, unless you catch him going down your wife's panty drawer and sniffing them, Sopranos quote that, you work your backside off for the club, irrespective of who that coach is. We have lost that. That needs to be the message. That will fix us far quicker than continuing to change managers. Do you know how I know that to be a fact? Because I have evidence that what I'm saying is right. We all witnessed the players lacking the work ethic. We all witnessed the lack of physicality in the team. We've all witnessed the bad ethos. So many ex-players and ex-managers spoke about it. We know it exists. It's tangible. We can see it. But we've consistently sacked managers and got worse. So why is bowing and adapting to the players again as a collective? They're not all bad. Why is doing that again suddenly going to work on attempt number 8? Isn't it more logical? Isn't it more feasible to, one, develop some thicker skin and take the banter off of rivals for being bad? Grow up a little bit, develop some thick skin. But wouldn't it make more sense to, at the very least, try something different? Implement a style from day one rather than adapting and implementing it later? Wouldn't it make sense to highlight the players who give it 100% versus Liverpool, but then give only 60% against West Ham, who then gives 100% against City, and then in the subsequent games only gives 80% against Fulham and 80% against Middlesbrough? I'm making that order of games up. Isn't it right to move that person on first before you move the coach on? Wouldn't it make sense to try something different to potentially get a positive outcome? Isn't it considered the definition of insanity to try the same thing over and over and over and over again and expect a different result? Man United fans, stop going for the low-hanging fruit. I can't guarantee what I'm saying, if we were to follow it, if we supported it, if the club follow it, if we back it, that it's going to work. But I'm at the very least willing to try, and not at every juncture and at every moment say manager out, manager out, manager out, manager out. I really do believe that if we stick with a head coach for a 2 to 3 year period, build a physical and technically proficient squad, remove people that don't want to work hard every single match, regardless of who the coach is, and create a clean culture in that way. If we do those 3 things, we will be in a far superior position for exponential growth. Until that happens, I don't think it matters who the head coach is, we will foul. Why do I believe it? I've said it after the sacking of the previous 5 to 6 managers and stated if we don't fix those things, we're going to keep getting worse and we'll keep sacking managers. And it's happened. It's why I believe it. Where did I get this from before I end? Not because I'm a genius. Because you read into what's worked at some successful clubs and you read what's happened at failing clubs. You read what makes clubs successful and you read what has made loads of clubs unsuccessful. And I want my club to do what the successful teams have done. It's not rocket science. If you read Gordon Ramsay's cookbook on how to make scrambled egg, or you watch a YouTube video of somebody that burns the eggs, which one are you going to try and fucking follow? Excuse my language, not my channel. Which one are you following? Which one are you going to follow? Moving on from this, I want to speak about a bit of transfer news today. Hit the like button, by the way, if you haven't done so already. Get that done. Get that smashed for us, please. I'm here trying to do some deep work and concentration, throwing a quick eye over at the comments can be crazy. I can't concentrate anymore. Put the phone down and just listen then, my friend. Just listen then, my friend. Thank you. Look, Cunha. How excited are you about Cunha coming in? I can't lie, I'm buzzing. This is exactly the kind of signing we need. Someone with a point to prove, technically brilliant, can play 10, can drift out wide, can sit in a 9 role if they need to. Scores goals, excellent conversion rate, can create, skillful. He reminds me, imagine Joshua Zirkzee had more pace, more skill, and more goal-scoring output. It kind of reminds me of him, but better. So excited about this deal. I really, really am. I think he fits our system like a glove. That's another thing with the signings, by the way. They've got to be the profiles this system needs. They really, really do. Liam Delap. I've seen a lot of people angry about the Liam Delap link. And I just wanted to say, I get the logic. We need to be going for the best striker available. But when you read the majority of the reports, yes, we've held face-to-face meetings with Delap. But we are going to try and sign Cunha as well. Sorry, we are going to try and sign Gyökeres as well. The one thing I think that we are missing as a fan base, and maybe I get the impatience, I get the frustration, I get the anger, is there is the distinct possibility that Cunha, I said it wrong again, there is the distinct possibility that Gyökeres, that Osimhen, as two examples, could pick other clubs over us. So doing the groundwork on the lap isn't a problem to me. There is the potential with winning the Europa League, if and when we do it, with the right exits and sales this summer, that we buy 2 strikers. There's the potential for it. So I'm not getting my knickers in a twist with the Delap deal in isolation, because I think he's a very talented player. I've seen a few people say, someone said today, he's exactly the same as Højlund, slightly stronger, slightly quicker, better finisher, better touch, but exactly the same. So if you made Højlund a better finisher, better first touch, better play, better footballer, it wouldn't be Højlund. We wouldn't need a new striker, would we? Right? But I do agree. I don't want to put all the pressure on that young man and to be the only striker here again next year. Although Zirkzee is probably going to stay. Although there's rumors that he might go out. For me, as an individual signing, I'm happy with it. What does it look like as a complete package? Who else comes in? What do we buy for the midfield? What else do we buy in the attack? Is it just going to be Cunha and Delap only that we buy in the attack this summer? If so, I think that's a little light, and I understand the criticism that is attached to it. But what I'm not going to do personally is, in isolation of that deal, go, that's bad. Equally, if Victor Gyökeres says, thanks United for the offer, but I prefer Arsenal, that's just an L we've got to take, wipe our mouths and move on and start working on somebody else. What would be really embarrassing is to do no groundwork on Liam Delap. You go for Osimhen, no, he wants $500,000 a week because that's what Saudi are offering. We can't afford it. Gyökeres says no to us and rejects us. Oh, let's go talk to Delap. Oh, yeah, he signed for Chelsea last week because we hadn't spoken to him for 3 or 4 months. That would be bad practice. That would be malpractice in terms of the way the recruitment team should be working. So I'm not fuming with it. I'm encouraged by the individual, but where I concur with a lot of people is that I think we need much more than that in our attack. I'd love to get your views and love to get your opinions on that in the comment section below as well. Nearly 1,000 likes on this video, which is also amazing, people. So please get that done. Dylan here says Gyökeres and Bomo, and we need a central midfielder and centre back as well. Dylan, I'd love Mbomo. I'd love Mbomo, and I'd love Gyökeres. I mean, Mbomo, Gyökeres, and Cunha is like a front three. And I know some, what about Ahmad? Ahmad will play as well. I'm just saying those 3 coming in to complement Ahmad would be amazing. There is goals, there is creativity, there is, what I said earlier, speed, pace, and power. Players with something to prove as well, because a lot of them have got question marks, especially Gyökeres. Gyökeres is getting a lot of this at the minute of he's not Prem proven, he hasn't done it at the highest level. I think wherever he goes, whether it's us and he comes to Man United, whether he goes to Arsenal, I think that's a player that's going to have the absolute bit between their teeth, and it's what we need. And what I like about the Gyökeres deal, what if we are able to get him ahead of Arsenal? Right now we are outsiders. I mean, if we look at what's the money being put on for that? If we just Google that, Gyökeres' next club, or just see what it comes in at. It's definitely going to be Arsenal. Let's have a little look. Arsenal are currently the favourites. They're actually 1-2 on, which means you have to risk £2 to win 1. Man United are the second favourites currently, sitting at between 5-1 and 7-2. So Arsenal are the clear favourites as it stands. Then you've got PSG at 9-2. Then you start going to 12s, 14s to 1 for the Atleticos and Liverpool's. Chelsea are at 16 to 1 right now. So Arsenal are the bookies' favourites as things stand. But if United were able to convince him, a big part of that would be Ruben Amorim convincing him. And I don't think Ruben's going to sign one of his ex-players who's got something to prove himself, who's going to come in and only give 100% in, 1/6, 1/5 of the games over the course of a season. I think you're going to see someone like him come in and, break his back, run through brick walls and be everything we need in a player. And at 55 million, it's an absolute bargain. There's a lot of bargains out there. And that's why, by the way, I'm not against the Dalot deal in isolation. It's 30 million pounds. In the modern day world, that is not a bad investment. If we'd have spent 30 million on Anthony or 30 million on Rasmus and it didn't work out, none of us would be that angry about it. You are not breaking the bank in that deal. And there is a really talented player in there. There is a really, really, really talented player in there as well. And tomorrow night's final could be the difference, though, between adding better quality. Because money is a factor, whether people like it or not. The Glazers broke us financially, and it is going to take years to fix us in that regard as well. Winning this tournament tomorrow night does really help. Look, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in this afternoon. If you want to see more of me, I'm back Thursday here on the United Stand at 8 p.m. So I'll be back Thursday at 8 o'clock. Goldbridge and I are going live together on my channel, The Football Terrace, Thursday morning at 11 a.m. We normally do it today, Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. I want to thank you all as well, because mine and his podcast went to number 20 in the podcast charts in America last week, which is ridiculous that it got so high against it. We were above Shannon Sharp's podcast. I'm so proud. So I want to thank you guys that have tuned into that as well. I am live at 3:30 on the Football Terrace, talking transfers, talking the final. We've got a City fan on that we're going to cook for losing that final against Palace as well. We've got LB on. So if you want to join us on the Football Terrace at 3:30, it'd be great to see you over there. But until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.